Dhaliwal. I am chair of Manitoba Master Gardeners Association. And as you may hear from my accent, I was born and raised in England. I was told by the previous owner of this house that the man who built it was a developer, and he bought this piece of land from a local farmer, and this piece of property was the farmer's potato patch. As a young teenager, my family had a cottage in the countryside, and I started to prune a very old rose that was on the front of the cottage, and then slowly started planting different plants. So this very beautiful lily, you can maybe see inside it, is called .com, and it has pretty little dots and is obviously a modern hybrid. Now this tall one is quite beautiful, and it is a modern development called Modern Butterfly, so it's a local lily. Lilies grow very well here. So these peas are a very nice tall garden pea. It's an English pea, and the original peas were given to me by an English master gardener who bought them in England. And every year I seed save and start a new crop, and often have enough peas to share around with my neighbours and friends. In a lifetime, you do different things depending on what you can do and what you can't. My husband's always done what he can to help me, but he has worked very long hours all his life.
So this is mulch from our 100-year-old ash we had to take down because it was becoming unsafe, and it forms an excellent mulch for keeping the weeds down, and eventually becomes wonderful soil. And you can see already it is composting quite a bit.
He was head of Cancer Care Manitoba, and so he has really never had enough time for anything in his life, his own hobbies, let alone mine. However, has always been ready to help me with something I couldn't manage on my own.
Well, that's one of the things that I can do, because it's heavier work, and so it's quite useful. And I'm quite close to soil right from my childhood as a young boy growing up in a farm in the Punjab. So I like compost and turning wonderful grass clippings into beautiful soil.
My daughter is still training in computer science, and she is never been a great one for the outdoors, mainly because of all the insect life around, which she does not like. But she grows very good tomatoes and she likes to grow lilies. So she likely over the years, as she sort of starts a family and settles into her home, will probably garden more. So Jazz, I've got something to show you which you will love. My first ripe tomato. Look here.
Oh my
Look at that.
It's so early.
Wonderful. It's been very wet. Yeah, so soon have ripe tomato salad, I think for anyone coming to Winnipeg, they might imagine that this is hell on earth for gardeners. You need to garden using what likes to grow in this climate. And we are, after all, in the prairie provinces, masters of growing. You know, the agricultural industry is massive. So we know stuff grows, and it's a question of what grows. And choosing the right plant for the right position is probably one of the most important pieces of gardening. When you garden, it's not necessarily so hard, it's just selection and a bit of common sense and a lot of knowledge. There are plants that I really enjoy, and I'm pleased they have grown so well. When I see a plant struggling where I put it, I move it and then see how it does somewhere else. So really, depending on which week of the year you're here, there will be some bush or tree or big perennial that's showing itself off most wonderfully. And I love them all. I've been a family doctor for 40 years. Before that, I worked as a family physician in London. And when I came to Winnipeg, I worked in the downtown. And that's what I've done, that I retired a few years ago. And since then have worked for Manitoba Master Gardener Association. I have what we call a Manitoba mountain, a little raised area behind me that was actually a dump of topsoil intended to improve some of the areas of planting. And my husband noticed that it was a very good windbreak for the potager. So he said, well, leave it. And I said, well, leaving 2 piles of topsoil isn't really an option, but I thought about it. And it has become a rockery and a very peaceful place to sit and view the length of the garden. I think Canadians should understand that they have a most wonderful heritage and should guard it very carefully. England, which is only a small island, has been farmed and gardened and manicured for centuries. And as such, the wildflowers, although there are many areas that have wonderful ones, have been decimated. And here it is really important to guard our boreal forests and our northern tundra and our mountain flowers and everywhere else. You know, we have a wonderful heritage, and this is the one thing that absolutely bowled me over when I came to Canada, was the glorious outdoors. Not everybody has time or inclination to be in the garden, and I recognise that we all have different hobbies and different lifestyles. But often there is a style of gardening that suits pretty well everybody, if it's bonsai making or growing an orchid in the house or a major field full of potatoes.